Hey everybody, it's your anime pal Jonny here, and today we are drawing Faye Valentine from Cowboy Bebop. So, I wasn't really sure what to do with this one, and a lot of that stems from the fact that I didn't make a thumbnail for this drawing. So that's one thing I always read about these great artists. They say, plan out your work, and I know I should do it, but then I end up not doing it. But I did have an idea of what I wanted to draw. I had kind of an idea of what the finished picture would look like in my head. And I kind of just went off of that. And even though I had to improvise a lot, I had to do a lot of problem solving in this piece because I did not plan properly. I think it still came out pretty good for the most part. At least I like the way it came out. But I do think it is important to at least have a proper thumbnail when you start out, and I'm going to be trying to incorporate more of that into my workflow going forward, just to make things a little bit more, just make sure things go according to plan, so to speak, but also just so that I don't get lost in the process, because I think that's easy to do. When you're drawing or painting or whatever, you get in the zone, you kind of go in, sometimes you go in directions that you're not expecting, and you make some interesting discoveries, but at the same time you can stray further and further away from where you originally intended to go, which may be good or bad. You won't know until you really finish the piece, but I think if you have an intention in mind and you want to stay true to that, probably would be good to start out with a thumbnail and trying your best to stick to that as close as possible. And going forward, that's what I will try to do myself. Now, that's not to say that improvising is a bad thing, because like I said before, you do make some interesting discoveries. Sometimes the piece comes out better than what you had originally thought, because you choose a different gesture, or you do a different expression, or just something else that is a little bit more interesting because you kind of organically went there rather than just robotically sticking to the plan. So I think there's pros and cons to both. Speaking of gesture, I think that's one of the things that I had that I really wanted to nail in this piece, because I wanted it to be a more moody piece, a more reflective piece for Faye, because even though she's kind of a wild card character, she does have kind of an introspective nature when you really get into it. She's got a lot of baggage, and she's thinking about it a lot, and I think that's an interesting aspect of her character, and I wanted to illustrate that with this piece. So with that in mind, I tried to get a gesture and expression that I felt kind of had a little bit of a somberness to it, but at the same time, still keep that sexiness about the character, because she is a femme fatale, but have that bit of vulnerability to her as well. I think that's what always made her so interesting, is that she can be fierce, but she can also be very vulnerable, and I like when characters display that. So I always thought that was a great aspect of her character, and I wanted to make sure that was displayed properly in this piece. So I worked on the gesture, tried to get the pose right as well, which I think if you can get a good gesture in first, then you can really get the figure drawing to follow. Although sometimes your gesture is a little bit more fantastic than what the human body allows for, and I was kind of finding that out with this piece. So I think the figure drawing in and of itself for this piece could have been stronger. I definitely need to work on my figure drawing more, but for the most part, I think it does the job. Not perfect, but it does the job for the piece, where it looks convincing, and it looks like she's having her quiet retrospective moment in that shady dive bar, smoking her cig. And I just also like, I know it's bad, but I like the look of cigarette smoke in a painting or in film. I know it's bad for you, but I just think it looks cool, so I just had to have her smoking a cig. and of course with some alcohol in hand. I think with a moody piece like that, it just goes so well and really sets the atmosphere, I guess you could say. Aside from that, I think the main thing I was really focusing to, aside from the composition of the piece, was getting a stronger handle on the charcoal tool in krita. So I did a little bit more experimenting with it, and I found that they basically have three basic settings. You have your soft, your medium, and then your hard, or kind of like your fine pencils for charcoal drawing. And I tried to mix and match the three to get the shading and the line work that I wanted. And I think overall it came out pretty well. It gives me that kind of vintage look that I'm going for. So I'm very glad that it came out the way it did. As far as for the line work, I decided not to go with color for this piece. I kind of wanted to do more of like a vintage album look, like the show itself goes for, to kind of keep in line with the tone of what they were aiming for. So hopefully that comes across well in the finished piece. In any case, that's all I got to say about the process. So we'll go ahead and speed this up, and we'll see you at the end of the video. Alrighty, so that should just about do it for this video. Hope y'all enjoyed watching, and stop by again next time. Thank you.